Hello everyone, thanks for dropping by. You all know what car that is, and if I was wealthy and living in America, probably Florida, I'd have one of those and I'd have it in that colour as it'll keep the interior cool, and those cars are so common in America that they would attract less attention than if you were driving a Cullinan or a Bentayga. Anyway, enough about cars. As you will have noticed on Sandman's channel, and maybe one or two others, he frequently mentions sex bots and the coming of artificial intelligence to them and artificial wombs, etc. that Sandman is sort of working towards investing in. So I decided to have a look around to see where I could find in that category with a MGTOW perspective. The first thing I found was this. As you can see, it's a site called Silicon Wives Luxury Sex Dolls, and now this was done on January the 8th this year. And as you can see, how big is the sex doll market? It's quite big and it's growing. So if you drop down, it says barely 20 years ago, if you wanted to buy a sex doll, you have two options: either discreet adult store in a back street, or some through a brochure, or you respond to a vague magazine advert, and then it's in the lap of the gods whether you got it or not. And then if you actually committed to a sex doll, you might later receive, without having to see it in person, it was difficult to ascertain the quality. We've all seen pictures of them from that era, and they were just awful looking, not humanistic at all. And then it comes about the evolution and the current one. This is the interesting bit. The global sex doll market was valued at an incredible $382.48 million in 2021. Skip forward to 2027, 2 years from now, and you're looking at estimated worth of $595.94 million, growing at a steady compound annual growth rate of 7.67%. That's per year. And the internet has fueled the growth and broader market. For obvious reasons, sex dolls are predominantly advertised on erotic websites, usually by the company that's actually making them. But it's also becoming mainstream for various websites and social media. And then industry expansion, technical innovation, what Sandman goes on about. Advances in manufacturing techniques and materials have led to increased production volumes and a general reduction in costs, helping to ensure sex dolls, or I'll call them synthetic people, are more accessible to a broader audience. That broader audience, I've noticed on the thing, you can get male synthetic people for women who don't want to go with guys, but they got an itch and they want it scratched, thereby expanding the market. Technological enhancements in realism. The pictures you've seen, some of them are obviously artificial, but some are so realistic you'd have to look twice at it before you realise it's just a synthetic person and it's not real. They're so lifelike. And functionality, but functionality is the mostly static in the poses, such as incorporating movement and interactive features, have attracted a new segment of tech-savvy buyers. And then global reach, the sex doll, the synthetic people market expansion is also a result of a growing global reach. Online platforms enable international sales. The biggest manufacturer is in China. Another thing that the Chinese make, the industry benefits the global appeal, not just sales alone. And then future predictions. Looking ahead, there's no question that the market is set to continue untamed growth. Innovations in artificial intelligence and virtual reality are expected to create new product categories, potentially transferring into artificial people into interactive partners. But they're only generally used for one thing. But looking way into the future, the people in Westworld, you can expect to have that. But you, me, and everybody else in the world will probably be long dead by then, because you're looking at 200-300 years from now. You can be also certain AI, artificial synthetic people, coming into the market within the next 2 years. And then final thoughts from humble beginnings, becoming a global market. The industry has transformed remarkably over the last few years by embracing innovation and diversity. You can get different ethnics, the blacks, Oriental naturally, Japanese, and now Caucasian, and depend which part of the world you're in. The industry now offers something for everyone, and we applaud the rise. For too long, ownership was consigned to unfairly stereotyped category of consumers. Now the market is wide open. Now that's the background of it. To back that up, I found this. It's Bed Bible, Sex Doll Statistics Market and Industry Report. Now this was done on February the 13th this year. That's an example of one. As you can see, compared with what there was in the 60s and 70s, if you didn't know she was synthetic, you'd think that she was real. That's the only picture on this article. And it says synthetic people have become increasingly popular over recent years, in sync with the new sex toy market has expanded exponentially. Now if you drop down, 9.7% of American guys have one. 6.1% of American women have one. The American women probably can't get an American guy to go with them, and they have an itch that wants to be scratched. So they get a male synthetic person, and they use that to ease the itch. The global market is $3.2 billion per day for today, this year. The US market is $1.2 billion. So as you can see, there's a lot of money to be made. And as the other article, 7 to 9% compound annual growth rate by 2030. Now we all know what happens in 2030. Most 52% of American women, those with the feminist mind virus, will be single and childless, and they'll die alone with just a cat for company. But the average owner of these synthetic people is a guy aged 30 to 50. Why he would want a non-reacting woman-shaped object is anyone's guess, when for that kind of money that these things cost, he could get an escort, a real woman, and he has some fun with her. As I said before, China is the country that produces most of these dolls. 1 out of 10 people do not use the sex doll that they have bought. 65% of people who have one use it regularly. Don't know why. 7 out of 10 people who bought one of these do not talk to their partner before buying it. If they got a partner, why did they buy it? And then the biggest people that make them is those three. I had a look around, and there's 46 companies I've found that actually produce these sex toys. And there's 130,000 monthly searches on Google for them in America alone. And there are 201,000 searches for dildo, and dildos, that be women searching for them. Surprisingly enough, the first recorded one was in the 17th century by Dutch sailors. And then we have a repeat of the stacks there. Now this is the interesting bit. Global sex doll market, 2016 to 2030. Now, 2017 is when Alicia Milano did the tweet for Me Too. So as you can see, the blue is the sex dolls, both sexes, remind you, not just guys. Small growth, we have the pandemic, flattened out the post-pandemic and then an exponential growth. Now, feminism started round about 2012, fourth wave feminism, but the Me Too movement started there. We had the pandemic, guys at home, a partner can't go out because they're locked down, and they're naturally rising. In recent years, people have been self-isolating, making it harder to find a real partner. Remote control sex toys have also increased in heaps in the last couple of years. During the COVID outbreak, sales shot up to 75%. That's there, making 2020 the record sex doll sales year, with a $2.4 billion worth of sex dolls sold in America. Now, this is the US sex doll market. Once again, Elisa Milano sent the tweet, Me Too. There was a rise, the pandemic, post-pandemic, but the guys found out the women are not wanting them, and then we get the exponential rise, and there we have 2030, when 52% of American women will be single and childless with just a capture company. And you notice it's $2.7 billion a year. We're here. Next year it's expected to grow to $1.5 billion, flatten out in 26, and then 2027 up to 2030 annual growth of 7 to 9%. Now, if you drop down US doll consumer usage behavior, this is all those that people have bought one. How often do you use it? How do you use your sex doll? Do you talk to your partner? Why do people buy it? Why did you buy it? Competitive landscape, and these are some of the manufacturers, like in the other article. And 11th largest workshops. These are all them. And then market potential, book mentions, and this is the other graph. 1960, and it tops out 2015, 2016. Second wave feminism was here. Third wave feminism was here. Fourth wave feminism was here. MGTOW started to kick off here. And you notice the growth in sex dolls as guys decided women are becoming too toxic, so guys had an itch, they wanted to be scratched, and instead of going with an escort, they bought a synthetic woman. Also, women are also in this buying category, because I explained earlier, you can get male sex dolls. Now, online coverage, it goes down. Here's the Me Too movement, 2017, first searching, and then it dropped off. And then monthly searches, as explained before. Compare this monthly to a dildos, 201,000 searches on Google in the US, and globally 961,000 searches. So 961,000 women haven't got a guy globally, and they've got an itch to be scratched, so they get a dildo or a vibrator. Now, sex dolls trends, there's a future for sex dolls, technical innovation, material advancement, the silicone and TPE, that's a skin type textured thing, are currently popular, but future materials may offer greater realism and durability, potentially including self-healing skins or temperature-regulated features, because you have to stick a metal rod up the synthetic woman's vagina to warm it up before you do it for the reason that you bought it. And then social acceptance and legal challenges. This is an interesting thing. Sex dolls become more lifelike and mainstream. They face both increased acceptance and new legal challenges. On one hand, the growing prevalence of media and online platforms. On the other hand, ethical and legal debates, particularly regarding dolls, resembling minors or non-consenting individuals, i.e. children, are prompting calls for regulation. There was a legal case in the Daily Mail about a warehouse manager that purchased one of these dolls, but it was so small it was stopped by the border force, and he ended up in court. He didn't go to prison. He was found not guilty, and it just as a warning shot across the bows that don't get one too small if you are going to get one, otherwise Uncle Leo, law enforcement officer, may pay you a visit as to why you've got such a small doll that could resemble a child. And then we go therapeutic uses, diversity and customization. As I said, there's all sizes, all body shapes, sizes, and even non-human dolls. The women who look like elves you can get, and also non-Caucasians, whatever your particular taste is. And then market expansion and economic impact I've covered before, and then some fun facts, and finish off legal debates, central legal issues, particularly dolls that resemble children or non-consenting adults. Some countries have specified laws regulating the manufacture and sale. I think you can't get any in this country. But anyway, as you can see, it's a growing mass market for toys like that, which is a steel frame and a synthetic covering. But if we drop down, right at the bottom, I forgot to mention, the stuff that they're made of can't be recycled. So it's going to have potential problems as these things wear out, which they do, and they can't put them in a landfill site because the toxic chemicals and that they're made of, apart from the metal skeleton, is going to cause environmental damage. Would I have one? No, not a chance. They have looked at the prices of these things we're doing for this video, and they come about £1,200, £1,300, some at £2,200, even with the sales. For £1,200, £1,300, I could buy a pair of Stockley SC skis. They're £1,275, and for another £1,200 I could book a week's holiday in a ski resort to go and use them. I checked out of all this kind of sex thing 4 months before I turned 16, so I've got no interest in purchasing something like that, as where I live it probably caused me a lot of trouble with my landlord, and I'd want to keep the roof over my head no matter what happens. But as you can see, these things are going to become more popular. Sandman was ahead of the curve, mentioned it on his channel, but it'd be interesting to see what happens after 2030, when most women, 52% of American women, are single and childless, how big the market of these things will be as we get more advanced technology. But it still is a synthetic person. You can't have a conversation with it, and even if it comes to like Westworld, it's going to cause more trouble in the future with women, as the guys prefer these sort of things than they themselves. So I think I'm over the 15-minute mark now, so I'll have to stop this video. I'll try and find something more for next week, but I'll be doing my in-person video on Christmas Day as I've done the last few years. So until Wednesday, that's it for this one. Bye bye.